Hi, and welcome to Out of the Darkroom on Adorama TV. I'm here at the National History Museum where they're showing the Wildlife Photographer of the Year exhibition. Joining me on the show today is Sam Hobson, a London wildlife photographer who specialises in urban wildlife.
Adorama TV presents Out of the Darkroom with Ruth Medjber.
Sam, thanks so much for joining us here in the Wildlife Photographer exhibition in the National History Museum. We're not far from where you grew up, we're in London.
Yeah.
How does one get to be a wildlife photographer in probably the biggest urban city in Europe?
Well, the thing is, I've always been a little bit feral, quite outdoorsy.
Right.
So since I was a kid, it was always out in the back garden, finding little insects and keeping them in matchboxes, or foxes, leaving out scraps for the foxes in the back garden.
You see shots in your mind, and you've built up this kind of archive of shots in your mind all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how does it work then? Do you just go and you get all the right equipment for a shot?
I don't know. Basically, I think the fact that I didn't have all the gear to begin with.
Yeah.
Especially starting out when I only had a short lens and that sort of thing, I had to develop my field craft. So I had to learn how to get close to stuff, predict where it's going to be when, so I can wait there. So when it comes to the right place, you're sort of set up. If you concentrate on getting a cool picture of something in your back garden, rather than aiming to go and photograph a lion or a tiger or whatever, then it might not seem exotic to you, but it is to somebody on the other side of the world or whatever.
But that's exactly what you do. I mean, like your foxes. I mean, we all probably are, especially in London, when you're coming home maybe at 3, 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
I used to
They're
walk.
I'd
walk a stretch of road
crossing,
a
next
few
to you,
hundred meters, and there's loads of foxes. Yeah, they just they're like dogs here, and they just and they're so common, and I've seen them so much. But you make them out to be supermodels.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know. The thing that I think I'm best at is finding an animal that is up for being photographed. So I just went out, I found a family of foxes. I basically spent a bit of time with them, just instead of chasing them around, just sat down, let them get inquisitive and start coming over to me.
So it's basically a portrait of a family.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I'm shooting at night. I shoot a lot at night because I think it just gives your picture an extra dimension. There's only so many things you can do in the daytime, and in the daytime I still try and do that. I try and use fill, flash, or light, or filter, just so the sky's nice and dark and punchy or something.
So would you use a filter then a lot for a daylight?
In the day, but at night there's already a load of interesting stuff going on. There's loads of different lights with different color temperatures.
And a lot of contrast as well.
Yeah, there's also the weather. It doesn't matter, if it's wet, that looks better because it's reflecting all the street lights and stuff like that. So basically at night with the foxes in particular, what I do is I guess just set up. I always try and think about the context and the composition and where the animal is going to be in the picture. So I set up my composition, get my sort of diminishing perspective or something going on, and then set up the lights, do a few tests, and then hope and wait for the fox to come over and
you're on a remote.
Be in the right place. Yeah, I'm stood back by this point with a PocketWizard.
Yeah. So how far would you be?
Not too far.
Not too far.
Either side of the street is the furthest I'd be, I guess.
And you just lay and wait, and
usually
then click,
about 10 foot,
click.
and they come over inquisitive.
Yeah.
Take a few snaps. In terms of post-production, retouching, I process with a Lightroom or something like that, and then maybe in Photoshop I do a few tweaks of color balance and contrast and stuff like that, but that's as far as it goes.
Maybe you could do us a favor though, because I know there's a lot of photographers that are watching this that maybe want to take their practice from an amateur status into a more professional kind of level. Is there any tips or advice that you've learned along the way that you could
I think what I was saying about the local stuff, basically, especially with wildlife photography.
Yeah.
Anyone can take a bad picture of a zebra or an otter or whatever, but I've never seen a really good, interesting portfolio creatively lit of snails.
Yeah.
You know, like you know, I've never seen somebody really work snails, like go into their back garden.
So snails is your tip. Go and
I'm just saying, like whatever's
and
accessible to you and you can be creative with, rather than think about like, you know, trophy hunting. Like, if you've got like a you know, a tame robin in your back garden, why aren't you shooting that? Why are you traveling like and spending all that money to go to the other side of the world?
So you can do it in your back garden. You just have to be creative.
completely. Like, you know, like I'm all about context and showing animals in their environment and doing something creative with that. And the thing about urban wildlife photography is you've got all these interesting perspectives and like stark lines and stuff, like, you know, you can do interesting things with composition basically. And you know, there's a million opportunities. Like, you know, take a picture of a robin with a long lens, soft focus, sort of shallow depth of field. Everyone's seen that before, but like, you know, put a robin in 10 different places and you've got 10 different pictures.
So maybe you'll talk to us a little bit more exactly how you got the technique down for shooting the picture that's hanging here today. So we might have a little look at that as well. Then. That's great. Sam, so tell us how you got this amazing shot.
In London and the sort of surrounding areas, mainly along the river, parakeets roost all year round.
Right.
But in the winter, the roosts are much bigger. Basically, so you're getting roosts of like up to 5,000 parakeets in one park or one cemetery or whatever, and that's all over London. We were there just coming up for dusk, so I tried a few different things, a few different techniques. It's dusk, so you need quite a slow shutter speed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're going to need flash too. These have got trails coming out the back of them, but if you just leave, you know, if you just do a slow shutter speed with flash, the trails will be coming out the front of them. So you have to put it on the end of the exposure, so that's rear curtain sync flash basically.
I mean, is your flash on top of your camera?
It's the only time I've put a flash on top of my camera. I set up the camera on a wide lens here. It's my second body. It's only a D7000.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So what I was doing, I was standing back with a PocketWizard and camera, flash on top of camera. As they were flying past, I saw them coming close to the camera and just be firing away. And you know, the fact that they are, you know, aliens in the English landscape anyway, I wanted it to have a bit of an otherworldly look about it.
D7000 on a 70 to 35 2.8.
17 to 35.
17 to 35, and you're at 17 at a 30th of a second. But that, you know, that's, you're on a tripod and you get the long, and but you're at 6.3.
I just basically 30th of a second, I thought that would be just enough time to create the ghostly trail behind
which is absolutely perfect, because he doesn't catch up with his trail. It's just the right amount.
So that's where I started. I wanted a 30th of a second first, and then the thing with the flash is, if you need quite a low-powered flash, because then the burst is a lot quicker. If you're on half power or full power, those birds there would be movement. But if you're on like a 32 or a 16th or something like that, then it freezes fast motion.
Okay. So you said a 30, and the flash in question is an SB800. It's great flash.
It's a good flash. It's got loads of power. And also the SB800 was good because you could plug different things into it and stuff like that, where you can't these days. Then the D7000 has got a crop sensor. So when it says 17 mil. It's more like 23, 24 mil or whatever. So they're not too far away.
That's brilliant.
And then the ISO and things like that, that was all dictated by the shutter speed that I wanted.
So you had to keep your shutter speed at a 30th. So your ISO in this case is 800, which, you know, is fantastic, and the D7000
the D7000 is fine up to I don't know, 1250.
I mean, like, these are backlit images here in the museum, and you know, they're pretty clear.
Yeah, it's fine.
D7000 really held its game in that
I'm happy.
You're happy. You should be delighted. That's amazing. It's a great shot. Thanks for sharing all the information on that one for us.
No problem.
Cheers, Sam.
All right.
Join me again on another episode of Out of the Darkroom on Adorama TV. I'm going to be speaking to some more great photographers and also learning some tips and tricks along the way. Check out the Adorama Learning Centre for more information, and also subscribe to Adorama TV. See you real soon.
Do you want great looking prints at low cost? Be sure to visit our easy to use online printing service. Adorama Pics has professionals who treat your images with the utmost care that you can count on. For a quick turnaround on photos, cards, or albums, use adoramapics.com.